Looks like everyone's finding their seats okay, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next segments. So I'm sure you've noticed by now that we've been talking a lot about the Bodhisattva spirit, and now it's time for us to take a look at how the Bodhisattva spirit is implemented throughout the US. Here to moderate our first regional sharing for the camp is Brother Vic. Brother Vic.
Please welcome the Eastern region and Brother Vic.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. In here, we have 3 teams from East Coast. One is from New Jersey, Washington, D.C., and New York. I'm going to let them share with this group what they've been doing in terms of English-speaking volunteers, recruiting, how we're retaining them, what we envision, the experience we have, and what's the next step. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Angela first. Angela, why don't you briefly talk about yourself and then take over?
Thank you, Vic.
Next page,
I'm from
please.
New Jersey. In New Jersey, we started with food pantry service about 5 or 6 years ago. And this is a big door for us to invite and introduce Tzu Chi to local people. As well as we have a lot of English-speaking care recipients. For 5 or 6 years, we grew to more than 1,000 care recipients. So this is a great opportunity for us. So I would like to share with you is this store gives us not only the recipients, we also have high school students coming in. They come to learn not only how to do the volunteer work, but also learn about Tzu Chi. Next slide, please.
Next slide.
So this is just giving a snapshot about the service. We really need a lot of English-speaking volunteers. And slowly, and we are hoping it will grow more. And that's the door we can recruit more English-speaking volunteers. Next slide, please. And this is, again, you can see it's from all of life, all kind of local, from next town. So we have a lot of care recipients. Next slide, please. And from this, to prepare us to do a good service, we give the local volunteers a training. And this is another high school student coming here to learn about Tzu Chi, about how do we provide service, food service to the care recipients. So this is the door for us, open to us and to meet local and provide service. And next slide, please. With this, some care recipients, they really would like to know deeper, not only Tzu Chi, about Buddhism. They are inspired. So we open the Dharma talk class on every other Saturdays. And on the day, people coming in, and the brother, when he has inside knowledge of Dharma, so he is the person to give the talk. And then after the talk, it's about 2 hours, and have a discussion. And then after that one, those people go to provide a service, volunteer service. So this is a cycle. They come in, they learn, and they give it back to service. Next slide, please. Okay.
Can you turn up the volume, please?
Okay. Because I am in the translation team, I always wear a translation hat.
I think all the effort came from he joined Tzu Chi. Start from here.
Okay.
Before you want to change the others, you have to change your.
Can you turn up the volume a little bit more?
So this is very good. Thank you.
Okay. Before we see the video clip, I just like to give a couple minutes about this workshop. We just started this workshop to provide, foster. We would like to foster.
But everybody's doing such a great job. So
maybe we don't need the workshop.
really impressed. So I'm just not buying the whole thing that So many people have said, oh, I really have a problem with English. I'm not really buying it because
Yeah.
everybody I
Okay. Sister Angela,
Okay.
well, we have little technical difficulty on this video. Apparently, the network's not coming through as fast as it can be. But can you help us understand a little bit? In that, that is a study group, isn't it?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Okay.
Yeah.
We finished the video clip. I just like to summarize it. We feel strongly needed when we have English-speaking volunteers or the members coming in. We like to really offer a friendly environment. Friendly means what? When people come to our home, everybody welcome. And that's the one to trigger us to have an English-speaking workshop for everyone, for the volunteers. Everyone participate, so we can equip everybody to speak not only the greetings, but it's effectively to talk about the Dharma, because we want to work and to recruit this is for them to, they can take some simple Dharma to their heart and they can come back again and again, and that's the workshop. We just started and we really find out every volunteers enjoy it.
I'm just curious, how many people in that workshop?
We have about 30 people in a workshop and the first time, and they,
Wow. So 30 English-speaking volunteers in the workshop. And what would they take away? Then did they give you some feedback about the
Yes,
workshop?
Yes, they would like to this be an ongoing things, because not only they can help themselves to learn more about Dharma in English, but also they can talk about Dharma and share with others. So this will be an ongoing thing. And also, it's an interesting finding is we first underestimate our volunteers. We end up with 85% of the volunteers can speak English fluently. So I hope everybody take this home. All your volunteers have the ability to speak good English. We just need to help them to learn about some Dharma talk and Tzu Chi terms.
Okay, so that's really encouraging. And in New Jersey, you find out that many volunteers you interact in a daily basis, you did not know they speak fluent English until the workshop. And
Right.
that's the 80%.
85%.
Wow,
Because normally we
85%.
conduct in
Okay.
Chinese.
Good. Now, you talk about you have done, you are one of the translator in the translation team for a couple books. One is The Truth, The Path to the Truth, and the
Yes.
other one is,
Well, okay. I am really fortunate. This is the way I learned the most is since I joined Tzu Chi in 2004, know nothing about Tzu Chi. In order to zero into Tzu Chi, I volunteered to do translation, diving into Tzu Chi's cultural literature. So for so many years, from life wisdom, from Da'ai drama, from grassroots voices, I also participate in book translation, and I'm so happy. I have the chance to finish 2 books already published, Life Economics. The other one is The Path to Truth. And it's not only one person. Translation is a team effort, by the way.
okay.
It's a team effort.
The point I try to make is, if you happen to have these 2 translated book, you know one of the translator here, and she's happy to do the autograph for you. Right? Yeah. Okay. So, so this
Thank
is the
you.
so this is the New Jersey. We heard they do this English training workshop. That 30 volunteers come forward of them. Now let's go to Washington D.C. And see and we let Sister Ray Hong to introduce yourself a little bit and help everybody understand what you've been doing over there.
Good morning. Actually, in DC, we didn't do more or better than you and your region. But the reason I'm here to share because I think by presenting, we also reflect what we can improve. And also we are hoping that you can give us some suggestions to make our service better. Maybe you can walk away with some good ideas. The programs we have is Saturday Learning Club. I was in charge of the program. Unfortunately, we discontinued because we didn't get support from the principals. They had new principals 2 years ago, and we decided that it's just a busy work, and I'd rather not to do busy work. I'd rather do meaningful work. So we have Saturday Learning Club. We got English Book Club. English Book Club we learned from here last year. My husband Leo and I, we conducted a book club, so that's what we have, and we are continuing. We also have 慈青 and 慈少. I'm sure you all have 慈青 and 慈少. And what my point is, 慈青 and 慈少, they are the basic, the foundation. They are our future because they can speak English fluently than us. And they know the culture. They can relate to Americans much better than us, older generation. So I think it's better that we have 慈青 and 慈少's involvement, and being 师姑, uncle, 师伯, uncle and aunt, we can support, we can help, we can walk along the way. We can support by providing great, delicious food. So, make them feel like home, and we walk the path to Buddha-Sava. Now, can we go to the slide? I'm sorry, can we switch? Well, I can switch. It's okay, I can switch. The Saturday Learning Club, I want to make a correction. 200 tutors include 5 years of service. We recruited middle and high school students to serve about 200 students, first and second graders. We decided that first, second grade is a better grade because they are the foundation. So we had 7 ethnic groups. We all spoke English, and over 30 volunteers. Those volunteers actually are tutors' parents because they got stuck in the school. They they brought their kids, so then they were there, and every session is every Saturday. We share with over half-hour tutoring session. We share Master Cheng Yen's teaching, Jingsi aphorism. We also share what we need to do. So that's how we recruit tutors and also their parents. Okay, next slide. We have one-on-one tutoring. We also have community service, provide community service because in Montgomery County, I'm a teacher myself, about 20 years. So education is my passion. We try to support math, reading, writing, and we also provide humanity lessons. These lessons that, gratitude, environmental protection. We also did a lot of sign language. So that's what we have. And I try to incorporate tutors to make the lead. They design some activities. They also have the opportunity to have leadership training. Next. English Book Club. So we have in Rockville office in Maryland. And so far we have 12 native English speakers. It could be our friends, my coworkers. We also have Interact, and we have actually the picture on the right, the middle, Dave. He went to Interact, and then he came to our book club, and he loved it. He said he's going to come back, So a lot of time is how we reach out and how we connect to people and show them and talk about it. Next, please. And this is a Tzu Club. Tzu Club in University of Maryland, we have a Tzu Club. Stephanie Shao and also Steve Chen, they started. They went to Tzu Academy. They started Chishao group after they graduated from high school. Then they started the Tzu Camp, Tzu Club, and it's just wonderful. They recruit students in the campus. They have booths, and they promote vegetarianism, and they collect trash. Next slide, please. They also did a lot of social services.
Next slide.
Thank you. Next slide. So they serving homeless shelters, they pick up trash, they clean the campus, and they are just wonderful group, and they connect with Chishao as well. Next, please.
Next slide.
Okay, so we had Chishao. Chishao also they had like monthly meetings in Rockville office, and also our Tzu restaurant office, and we have about 30 members. Okay, next. And they have Iron Chef, they have fundraising concerts, they also serve NIH, cancer patients' families, and they visited nursing home visits. Okay, next. Now this is a nursing home visits. We actually have more than just one. My husband, Leo Wormers, he conducted nursing home visits. It's been 15 years, and last year, because he presented the program, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but basically we have about 25 volunteers and 8 native English speakers. Okay, next. Next slide. So basically, how do we recruit and cultivate English volunteers? I think the main thing is how we involve youngsters and also people around you. You have your own children, you have your family, you have neighbors, you have your coworkers, you have your friends. Recruit them. Talk about Tzu, talk about your belief, talk about what you do, and cultivate by Master Daly's teaching. Without Master Daly's teaching, it's really hard. The other day, just this week, Master Zheng was almost cry. Talk about how hard to lead the disciples. I think it's an analogy, and how we you need the source. You need a philosophy to support you so you can walk on the right path and care each member mindfully, because a lot of time if we don't care about them, why do they need to come? Why? Yesterday when we talk about joy, I was teary, because how can you share joy with others? Sometimes it's hard because they don't understand.
Thank you. Sister.
Thank you.
Sister Rayhan from DC. And we see that in DC area, our DC people pretty much tap into all generation and provide all these fun activities and embedded all the teachings into their activities. So that's really wonderful. And now we have to switch gear to New York. Pamela? Go New York.
So in New York, we have 12 trainees, and they come and we have English training classes about 6 times a year. And we actually have 4 of them that are going back to Taiwan to get certified by master this year.
Next.
Next slide, please. Oh, okay.
Can you go back one?
Oh,
Yeah,
and
thank you.
the program themes that we talk about are the 6 perfections with the 4 missions, and we try to grow each person's Tzu spirit with team building, consensus-driven culture, and leadership skills. So we try to orient our classes and
Next
trainings
page.
to go with these program themes. Next slide, please. So one of them is the Tzu leadership practices. So, for example, we did a case study on Haiti based on something that actually happened. We did a distribution simulation where there were limited resources and restricting factors, and we had the groups come up with a workable solution based on the restrictions and factors. And we also did a case study on scholarship. So on that same afternoon of our training certification, we had a scholarship ceremony. And in the morning, they identified the problems and strategies that they could connect with these new Tzu scholars who had never heard of Tzu before, and what are some good methods to make a deep connection with them. And it was good because in the morning, they discussed these things, and then in the afternoon, they actually implemented the strategies they learned and directly learned from it. Next slide, please. And one of them is also consensus culture. So for the Haiti simulation, for example, it requires all the team members to take on some of their strengths, whether it be logistical or logical thinking, and also asks people to take on leadership skills. And together as a team, you can solve the solution. Next slide, please. The other thing that we do with our English-speaking volunteers is interactive and hands-on community volunteering. So the photos depicted here, we partnered together with Rebuilding Together New York. And Rebuilding Together New York, in the post-Hurricane Sandy, they work hard to rebuild people's homes and community centers so people can get back and have a nice place to live. So this one is where we repainted and refixed the community center in the Far Rockaways that was heavily damaged by Hurricane Sandy. Next slide. And this one, we also partnered with Rebuilding Together, and this one we repainted a homeowner's house completely. And these interactive and community events are a good way for English-speaking volunteers to get out and do work with the English-speaking community. In New York, we're located in Flushing, which is very, very heavily Chinese dominated. It's pretty much another Chinatown, so this is a good way to interact with other people and to get Tzu's name out there. Next slide. And this is the finished picture of the house that we painted that day. Next slide.
Okay, so so we heard that New York has a apprentice training program, and we try to mingle the Tzu spirit leadership all together to help these young professionals and people, English-speaking people, be able to go through the training program and get certified. But I have one question for 3 of you before we end this. So in terms of this recruiting and retaining English volunteer-speaking, English-speaking volunteers, and in different areas you have different way of accomplishing it and charging along the way. But if there is one thing you like to see it done, what would that be and why? And it started from Pamela.
So in New York, one thing that we could probably improve on is the reception of English volunteers, because like I said, we're located in Flushing, New York, and it's very, very like another Chinatown. So if an English-speaking volunteer comes in, it's actually very rare and a wonderful occasion. But what's important is that the reception of the volunteers. So you could think of it like an airplane runway. So imagine that we're all on a plane and we need to land on the runway. But in order to land, the runway has to be big enough. And then how is it big enough? We need to make sure that we're following up with the interested volunteer. We're calling them. We're making sure that they feel like family, and they're getting invited to book studies and socials and dinners. And then so the runway is big enough so we can land the plane, and we can land we can integrate another English volunteer into New York. So for New York, it would be the reception of English volunteers when they first come into Tzu.
Okay, Sister Rui Hong, what is the one thing that you like to see happen and why?
I think it's how we can recruit more English volunteers, and they can stay. They would attend our activities over other activities that think they are more fun or maybe more relaxed. Anyway, I think it's recruiting and how we can cultivate and walk on the same path.
Okay, thank you. Now, Sister Angela, what is the one thing you like to see and why?
Thank you. Well, we do have a sense of urgency. Time is running out, and we have a lot of English-speaking people walk into our office. So how do we walk them when they walk in happy and stay and become volunteer? We think it's very important to mobilize what we have today, the volunteers, everybody. And that is, we focus now is on creating a English-speaking friendly environment, workshop.
Thank you. Now, I heard three of you, we have a sense of urgency. We're running out of time. So we need to put a lot of effort and energy into this space from top down and bottom up. And that's our message from the East Coast. And thank you, three of you, and thank you all.
Thank you.